let go so I can be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me. And I can't hold it much longer. Gonna let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
We are back in Atlantic City. Scotty, Braun and Erik Kratz with you on Stadium for the first hour of FT Live from Borgata in Atlantic City. AC's best live entertainment on stage year-round. Right here at Borgata. Visit theborgata.com for the full entertainment lineup, and that includes today at the BetMGM Sportsbook. And coming off a little Somerset Patriots stop, we have the full-on tour going right now.
We're getting all Jersey. North Jersey. My sister texted me today. She's like, North Jersey? South Jersey? I mean, we came down to the shore. Like, this is and anytime we're back in here, the TVs are on. You hear the horse racing in the background. So it's good stuff.
It's great. And today we'll have Ken Rosenthal in about 30 minutes. A lot to get to with him, including his thoughts on the Shohei Ohtani news. And Liam Hendriks is going to make his FT Live debut. I've been waiting for Liam for a while now.
The mate, when we first started talking about this like a year ago, he was like, mate, I would love to do it. Anything for you. Because we'll get into it.
Okay.
We'll get into our connection.
Yeah, and of course he overcame cancer. Incredible story, a comeback. Now he's dealing with a more normal baseball injury and Tommy John surgery. So we'll get into that with him. And the White Sox are, pretty interesting. And then Andrés Giménez, who actually joins us for the first time since Jose Ramirez beat Tim Anderson.
I'm not going southpaw, so that's why I didn't straight up with you. I got to turn so I don't get
right for your right. Actually, I should be like this then because I'm a left.
You want to go left?
Yeah.
That way
I got to learn from that.
Catch you. You got to learn from people's mistakes.
Or just don't do that
or
on the
just
field.
Walk away.
How about that? Also, for anyone looking at merch, foulterritoryshop.com. And actually, we'll get to this shirt a little bit later on. But the shirt I'm wearing today is green. It says sell. It is one of the most talked about shirts on the market for what Oakland has gone through. Their fan base and their owner, one of the biggest clowns in all of sports, who we'll get to because he finally spoke, which was a massive mistake.
Which was awesome. It was awesome.
It was awesome to hear from him.
Speak. That's great.
Yes, he finally listened.
Him and John Angelos just are the gifts that keep on giving.
We have two incredible Johns in the sport of baseball. They really, really provide all of the goodness in nobody's hearts. So let's charge the damn mound as we have a lot of news to get to today. And this came out towards the end of our show yesterday, and we did get the instant reaction from Corbin Burns, but wanted to spend some time kicking this around. Steven Strasburg is going to announce his retirement at 35 years old in a press conference that's scheduled for September the 9th at Nationals Park before they take on the Los Angeles Dodgers. This is a player who's still under contract for many years. He's signed through 2026. Remember, after they won the World Series in 2019, a glorious time period for that ball club, he signed a 7-year, $245 million deal. And as you can see here from Bob Nightingale, he will continue to be paid $35 million annually through 2026. With about $11.4 million deferred each year. And then he's going to receive $26.6 in 27, 28, and 2029 in his owed deferred payments. The contract was not insured. That means the Nationals are on the hook for the entire deal. If you're not a mathematician, all you should know is that the Nationals basically paid a dude $245 million to not pitch at all, who had a great run at times when he was on the mound, but he could not consistently stay on the mound for this team. So I want to start here. Was it worth it? Don't look at the contract. Just in general, was it worth him being part of the franchise? You have to take everything with him, the contract, the injury baggage, the whole deal. But you did get a 2019 title out of it. Was it worth it?
Yes.
Okay.
I say yes because, and I have obviously the caveat is, this end contract that he's going to make $245 million and throw 31.1 innings. Is just astronomical to me. And this is another example of why you sign a contract when you can sign a contract. But it's something that you sit there and you go, did they need to give him that extension? Were they buying high? Did Boris, who never signs extensions, sign this extension knowing, hey, you know what, this is our best shot? Or was it Strasburg really being a throwback? in the sense of I want to stay with the same organization that I've been with that drafted me. I wouldn't say they like went out on a limb and drafted him. Like he was the guy. As much as we talked about Paul Skeens was the guy this year, Strasburg was dominant coming out of San Diego State. Probably didn't play against as good a competition, but was dominant and flew through the minor leagues, made his audition against the Pirates. And everywhere until this new contract, to me, he lived up to his hype. The injuries kept him from getting that elusive Cy Young, as AJ was alluding to yesterday with Burnsy, like, hey, whatever. You got a Cy Young. Beat it, Strasburg, So there's all that stuff, but there's so much. This is how baseball intertwines itself.
Mm-hmm.
2019, we talked to Corbin Burns last night, had Grisham not misplayed that ball in the outfield,
Yeah.
the Nats don't win the wild card. The Nats don't win the wild card. What if the Brewers win the wild card? And they go on to win the World Series? Because clearly every team had an opportunity to win if the Nats at that point came from the wild card, barely won that game, and won the World Series. So it just shows that every play matters. Every little move matters. And when you get a guy in the first round, you want him to have 3 All-Stars. You want him to be a World Series MVP, and you win an MVP. You win an All-Star game. You win the World Series with that player. To me, it's worth every penny.
Yeah, you got reward-wise what you would want from
That's it.
a number 1 overall pick. Sure, there's going to be a once-in-a-blue-moon guy that comes through and he does everything for you, right? And it's consistency and it's health. But to get all of that together, right, the individual accolades, the team success, now you're talking about the 2019 wild card with the Brewers. If they win, then you look at it differently because you didn't get your chip out of it as a fan base. But as a fan base, as much as you can look at this and say, damn, that was a massive, massive mistake, and you're right, giving out that contract after the World Series, overall, having that player as part of your franchise got you a World Series title, which is a lot more than most clubs can say. 1 team wins each year out of 30.
And it's so hard to win.
In the World Series like every year right now, so your chances are slim.
They're doing it, as the kids say, they're built different.
Yeah, they're built different.
Dodgers, they're built different. They've won 1. The Dodgers have won 1. And to
during
me,
this run, yes.
If I were the Nationals, and this is how the ownership's going to look at it, I hope they do, and fans should look at it this way too, because there's a ton of deferred money between the other guy that I think if you put both contracts together, it is super successful. Max Scherzer and Steven Strasburg have been paid a ton of money from the Nats, and they won a World Series.
Mm-hmm.
If you take any team and you put 2 guys together, whether you think he was injury prone, whether Max carried the duo more than one of the others, if the Phillies win a World Series and they have Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler together, worth every penny.
You're right.
Whatever it is. And I love it. I love to see when guys have that type of success, and I hope fans don't see him as an injury plagued. I can't believe he took $245 million player, because he's got a ship. And every single time, you didn't get a full parade because of COVID, but every time he comes into Washington, national fans should buy Steven Strasburg a drink.
And it could be worse, okay? There were many Nats fans and baseball people in general that were like, this team needs to keep its superstars, its core. They need to re-sign Strasburg and Rendon. That would have been $500 million tied up in 2 players that are basically not playing for you, right? So at least they didn't keep Rendon too. Did you give him a hard time during that time period?
Just the other day. No, not during the time.
Okay.
Because I thought the Angels were doing a good move by signing him. But I gave him a hard time just the other day. I think it was earlier this week, where I was like, who are the Nats going to rebuild around now? Because of all this deferred money, and we didn't know about Strasburg not playing. We assumed he wouldn't. But how are they going to rebuild without the fact that they don't keep superstars? So this James Wood guy, that's going to be their 6-year window. If he's the guy, if he's the next Ellie De La Cruz, if he's the next, whatever superstar that I think he is, seeing his swing just a little bit, this guy's a stud. But how are they going to keep him if they don't re-sign? Or how are they going to build franchise like history and success without keeping some of these guys.
Well, the key, though, is you need to latch on earlier if you see something special. If you let guys get to free agency, that's on you as a franchise.
Absolutely.
So they did that with Trey. They didn't work something out with him early on. I think if they did, I think he's even said he definitely would have stayed, and he's an East Coast guy. It's just that never came about. Soto, they tried. So I give them credit as a franchise. I know you're not totally buying that, but did they not offer him 440? I mean, that's not been disputed.
Okay. So I always say I want to see who started at what end of the spectrum. Did they really offer him 440? Did Soto come out and say, or Boris, because I think he's
Yes.
represented by Boris.
He is.
Did he come out and say they offered me 440, but I didn't want it? Because if that had happened, I'm sure he would have come out and been like, I didn't want it because this organization has no plan or future of what's going to happen. Because I have a hard time seeing it. Yet Rizzo should have gotten his extension. Davies should have gotten his extension. They won a World Series.
Davey got his extension
Right.
now. Rizzo, I think, will get it. I think the White Sox gives him a little bit of leverage for him to say, hey, listen, I need to be paid at this level. I don't give a shit what you're saying. He deserves it. It's been a long time for him.
Absolutely.
They've had plenty of winning. They had a nice winning window. They got a chip out of it. And I actually like what they're building again. So let's take that to the next point here in the next bit of news. Alden Gonzalez reported yesterday that Shohei Ohtani is going to keep DHing for the Angels. Which is pretty wild. I mean, because we don't really have any comparisons here since nobody else can pitch and hit like this. But the Angels are on the road now for the Mets. They're going to be in Philly. We're close by. And they're going to take on Oakland. And he's not going to pitch the rest of the season because he's got a torn UCL. And he's probably going to need Tommy John surgery at some point to get past that. But he's still going to play. And his free agency is going to be super interesting. And just to kick it back to what you were talking about for one sec, I feel much better about the direction of the Nationals than I do about the Angels. I mean, this is like the ultimate sob story. They load up a little bit for him. It didn't do anything. They're still not good. They're not going to make the playoffs. Now their superstar who gives them hope to watch just for the last couple months and have something super entertaining and historic is going through it. He can't pitch anymore. He's still going to hit. It's like, you're ripping off Band-Aids one by one until he leaves for another ball club. And for him personally, Kratzy, I don't really know what to say. I don't have the medical opinion. The only thing I will say is when Ken Rosenthal comes on, one of his colleagues, Evan Drellick, wrote an article yesterday about he consulted with doctors who said if he gets Tommy John surgeries because he wants to pitch again in the future, he should sit out in 2024. Now, if that's the case, that is going to rock his price tag and also just rock him. I don't know how he's going to treat that. And he might have team doctors that advise otherwise. So I'm very curious. I've heard some other people mention, hey, this is a right-handed pitcher with the elbow issue there. It's a left-handed swinger. If he wears a brace, which he usually does, the biggest problem could be like the hyperextended elbow or something, but that brace helps to keep it in. This is where it starts to get a little too tricky for me to be able to comment. I'm just kind of like repurposing smarter people's thoughts and trying to figure out what actually makes sense for him. And we'll get Ken to comment on it. But what do you think about him at least doing the hitting thing for another 6 weeks?
I think it's great. I also think there is an exact replica of what happened. Him tearing his UCL and getting Tommy John surgery, and he returned in May. The last time he did it, he got it at the end of the season. He got it on October 1st. So he has had this, and I think he knows how soon he can come back. The interesting part is if he had it in October and he came back at the beginning of May, couldn't he have it at the beginning of September and come back at the beginning of April?
See, that's why I like you. I had the same exact thoughts back when I was on MLB. I said that over and over. And if you actually look back then at why it didn't happen, it was mostly just because he wanted to play the season out.
Which I think it sounds like now.
Yes, it's happening again. And I remember back then I was like, but wait, you're not going to have him for the first month and change of the season. That doesn't make sense. Well, I agree with you on that front.
And a month isn't a big deal. A month isn't a big deal in a season.
If you sign with Seattle and you don't win the division next year, it is a big deal. But yes, I understand. He's got to worry about himself a little bit, and he wants to play this out. And maybe he wants to see also like how he can handle this as a hitter for now. And I don't know, like, is the decision definitely in the beginning of October? I'm going to go under the knife and then I'll still hit and then I'll come back as the pitcher. And also, who am I signing with? And who am I working with in terms of a medical staff, which is things that we don't really think about most of the time. He is not making all of the calls and getting all of the opinions on his own. He's not a freaking MD. And also, at this point, do you want to listen to the Angels or do you want to go somewhere else and listen to their people?
So many conspiracy things. Like, what if he loves how the last Tommy John surgery went through? Chris Medlin got Tommy John surgery, rehabbed, got a second one, rehabbed with the Braves, and it was just not going well. He was like, terrible. And then he got his third one after coming back, and he rehabbed with the Royals and was like night and day. He goes, they were digging in there. They were breaking up the scar tissue. He said, my first day throwing, the first time through was terrible. The next time through, when I was with the Royals, he was like, nothing. It feels tremendous. So it's something that rehab stuff really, really matters. And so I think this is the intriguing part for me. Not only is his value going to go down, and Ken's article says he's still going to get $500 million. So to me, my question would be, what is he going to get $600 million before? $650? I don't know. But his value is going to go down. Whatever you say, I have a hard time arguing with that. But my thing is, have there been more opportunities for other teams now? Because not only because his value is going down, but the Dodgers were always a front runner. What if he sits there and is now looking, hey, what is your rehab stuff? Who has rehabbed a second Tommy John with you? And they're like, we haven't had a second one yet. Oh, we have Walker Buehler. We can talk to him. Mm-hmm. Or he talks to the Rays. I'm not saying the Rays are going to.
No, they're definitely not signing him.
They're not signing him, but you know what I mean? There's more people and there's more things that go into this. And the whole him playing also brings up the question, is he going to get Tommy John? Everything I hear, Fletcher came on the other day and was like, this guy was worried about his legacy. He wants to be this guy that pitches and hits. To me, I think he's going to come back and pitch, but it really is an intriguing thing. And I really think his contract's going to have some type of opt-out clause, but
it'll definitely have an opt-out. Yeah.
That's going to be involved with pitching, though.
I think he was going to have an opt-out regardless, just based on the competitiveness of the next team that he signs with. I mean, I think the Dodgers have proven that they're going to be a contender every year. For example, if he signs with Seattle, there are still questions in terms of how much more that team will spend. Will they be a consistent winner, right? Even though he likes some aspects of that team. I thought, just aside from this injury stuff before it happened, if he signed with a team like Seattle, he'd say, cool, I'll do this. We're going to sign for 7 years, whatever, massive amount. But I want an opt-out after year 2 or something. I want to make sure this is going on the right track and you guys are continuing to add and make a big deal out of this. So a lot to get to. Let's continue it when we get to Ken Rosenthal in about 10, 15 minutes from now. Let's hit our first poll question of the day. The team that will not make the NL wild card. And you can get involved here with that QR code on your screen on Stadium. Otherwise, watchstadium.com/foul territory. The team that will not make an NL wild card. Just give me one team where you're watching them right now and you're like, I don't see it. Diamondbacks, Giants, Cubs, Reds, Marlins. We'll kick around a little bit of yesterday and spin it forward to tonight's games. Next on FT Live. Did you see the comments from Terry Francona? And I'm going to grab him here while we're chatting.
Talking
to me, it seems like this could be it, and he's just trying to not take attention away from the team. Although I would say, Tito, your team's not making the playoffs. Like, you can let people appreciate you and give you some claps, but he's just not that guy. But he said, quote, I need to go get healthy for my life, and this lifestyle is just too difficult. I also know how I feel about doing the job a certain way, and I don't think I can necessarily do that anymore, and that bothers me. I don't want to fib to people about my future, but I also don't want the last 6 weeks to be about me. The focus has to be on the players. To me, that's it. I mean, I think he's going to call it a career. He's dealt with a lot of health issues lately, and he's one of the best managers in this era.
For sure. Healthy choices. Beside the point, like, you're out there and you are pushing it and you're like grinding through it. And when you start having health stuff, heart stuff, I feel for him. He's handling it like a pro, and I wish we could celebrate him.
Yeah, and he's done it all.
Everything. Yeah. So respected.
I'm going to celebrate him.
Me too. I think I have one more game with the Guardians, and every time I see Tito at the end of the year, I say, hey, what do you think? You coming back next year? He's usually like, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
This time he's going to be like, probably not.
And you know what? That's fine.
He
I mean,
he has earned the right, though, to make that decision in
Of
his
course.
life. And you're one of the greatest of all time, Tito. I wish
Hall
I
of
would have
Famer.
got to play for you. Salute you, though, buddy. And now maybe we'll get to play some golf.
Exactly. He
That's
was not
healthy.
shortchanged in his managerial career at all.
I had a spring training with him.
Yeah,
He's pro.
he's a pro. So we salute you, Tito, regardless of what you're telling everyone else right now. What a freaking run for you.
And now back to foul territory.
Back at it live on Foul Territory on Stadium. Scotty Braun and Erik Kratz, and we'll get Ken Rosenthal's take on a lot of what we covered in the beginning here in about 10 minutes. So let's fast forward for a moment and look at what we've got on the slate this evening. And this is a special edition of Last Minute Game Time. Thanks to our friends at Gametime. Best ticketing app out there, period. If you're looking for last minute tickets to games, this is the spot for you. We'll go over it a little bit in a moment and make sure you bang that FT live code if you're a new user for $20 off your first purchase with terms applying. But I want to just like lock in on one game, and then I'm going to basically force you to pick it. It's easy, right? Like tell everyone in the New England area, if they're not going to a particular game, what they should be doing right now via the Game Time app.
New Hampshire Fisher Cats games? Oh no, that's not it.
Accurate. I'm
Boston.
taking that off. I'm buying all the tickets from New Hampshire, so you can't go because I need you to go too.
We are shipping off to Boston.
Hell
We're going
yes.
to Fenway Park for something that honestly I feel terrible that I had no idea until I started doing research for this show what was coming. What was coming back to Boston for the first time since he got traded. Mookie Betts is coming back to play in Fenway Park and this stadium for his 12 to 15 at-bats in a 3-game series should be standing ovations. They should respect the heck out of what this guy did because he was a consummate professional. He brought back a huge haul, whether or not those players have done well with Doogie's 4-hit game last night against the Trash Stros.
Did they win yesterday?
Squeaked
17-1. I mean,
17-1.
I know it's just one game, but you feel good about your offense and you're still hanging around the wild card situation when you go beat the shit out of the Houston Astros, which is not easy to do. It's one of the better pitching staffs in the league.
And they just kept putting it on them putting it on them. And Maldi gave up 4 runs.
He's not as good of a pitcher as you, Martin.
He's not,
Maldonado.
but he's clearly a much better catcher. But Mookie coming back to Boston, you never heard any boo when he was in Boston. You hear a lot of players going to Boston and having issues with like certain things and wanting to get out of there. He loved being a Red Sox. Did he deny some extensions? Absolutely, but
that's his right. And also,
Time
he was
blew.
on this show and said that he would have stayed, and he thought he was going to stay, and he wasn't super high on the West Coast in general. Now he's loving it, and also he's on a consistent winner that we definitely applaud more than most teams because of how they run their operation. I know they got to win more World Series titles to be able to justify all of that, but if you look at what Boston did, this is a good time to reflect as a franchise and as a fan base and say, we messed up.
especially with how hot he is right now. He is in fuego. They might rename the Green Monster as Mookie's Monster. The way he was hitting in Cleveland, 5-hit game after a 3-hit game in the first game of the doubleheader. He's raised his average from 262 to 308. At this point in the season to do that, this man is in fuego right now. And Boston and the Red Sox fans can keep booing ownership for not keeping him, but they need to celebrate this man for the 3-game series that he's in here for.
They whiffed badly. That's what happened. And for Mookie, that extension was 12 years, $365 million. It runs through the 2032 season, so he's still got a lot of time left on that one. But because it was stretched out so much for the luxury tax and some deferrals in that contract, it actually only counts for his yearly salary at $25.5 million a year, which I know still sounds insane in life, but in baseball, when you compare it to many of the other deals for a player like him, it's not wild, and it's a team that doesn't they go over the luxury tax, which is like the salary cap basically in baseball, but it's not. It helps them so that they're not paying a crazy tax, especially when they try and throw $500 million maybe at Shohei Ohtani this offseason. So they orchestrated that one nicely for both sides. He had a $65 million signing bonus, FYI. But here's the fact: Boston could have done this. Period. They could have done this, and
Easy.
they could have gotten him for less if they had offered him what he felt was market value based on how many years he had been in the league and what he was putting together. He always felt like they were going a little too low based on what his accomplishments were. And the longer you let that linger and the richer he gets, the more leverage he has. And they blew it. Boston blew it. And I don't know if they've recovered really since.
I mean, I feel like when you blow it like that, you're backpedaling. And I don't think they've stopped backpedaling. Yes, they gave Devers his money, which I think is huge. But you could have had Mookie Betts and Rafael Devers in the same lineup. You're looking at a 1-2 combo, which the Dodgers are like, oh, appreciation station. We'll take Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman. I'm not saying Rafi's to the point of Freddie yet, but he is. That would be just, it would be epic. And what he did for the city, winning the World Series, what he did for, he came up through the organization. He said, I wouldn't have wanted to leave. And I don't see it. And I guess, that's that big of a contract. You can't blame Chaim Bloom. While Chaim Bloom might be the one that sits there and goes, okay, well, this is who we traded and we didn't have the finances for it.
Yeah, but he reports to the higher ups.
Yeah.
And
Chaim
Boston
Bloom
makes
signs me,
a ton of money. Right.
not Mookie Betts.
It's a great call. Chaim Bloom says, hey, I got this backup catcher who I feel really good about.
Yep.
Everyone loves him. I like his swing this year. Metrics like what he's done in the past year. Let's sign him. And they're like, cool, I'm an owner. I don't pay attention.
Yeah.
That sounds great. But we know who Mookie Betts is. We know what he's going to cost. And for them, you're right. Devers is who they're building around. That was kind of the makeup. And, fans were pissed about Xander Bogaerts, but if Betts was still there and Bogaerts was the one that left, again, I think they would have been okay. They're not necessarily expecting you to keep every single ball player. And Bogaerts got signed to a deal that takes him to like 40 years old or something like that. That's actually not what would have happened here with Mookie. The one thing I'll say on the Dodgers side as they come to town to take on Boston, and yes, just if you're just joining us, this is the first time Mookie is back at Fenway Park. The Dodgers sign guys long-term that hit. It's not going to happen. Most long-term contracts get ugly, especially late. But what we're talking about with Mookie and with Freddie, something that the Yankees struggled with, right? Signing LeMahieu, bringing Donaldson for the end of his contract. Some of the contracts they've handed out to some veterans in their mid-30s haven't worked out. The Dodgers are doing it right. When they're finding their franchise players to lock up to long-term deals, they're finding the right ball players right now. Those are two really good examples. It's working for them.
It is working, and they're not showing any signs of decline. I get it. They're in, Freddie's a little bit older.
No, but he's as good as ever.
He's better.
Yeah.
And it's just another example of like how do you make adjustments on the fringes? How do you get players better from Josh Outman, a rookie, all the way up to Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts? Like you get these guys a little bit better, and you should slow down the older you get, but you get smarter. So organizations that use those metrics and use those ideas, they're getting the most out of the value. And it's an impressive machine to watch.
Yeah, and really on the ownership side, because there's a lot of egos involved, the Dodgers side embarrassed Boston's side on this front. They said, you guys can't figure out signing him. There's no excuse for that. You make a ton of money. You're one of the top market teams in baseball. We'll take him, and we'll hand out that extension that he deserves. And it's a win. And Boston fans, lastly, on what you said at the beginning of this, are going to cheer the hell out of him. Boston, New York, Philly, we know those fan bases can be tough, but Mookie did nothing wrong. He didn't get paid enough. And he sat there when he was there and was an MVP and was a World Series champ. He did nothing wrong. Likable. There's nothing you can pick at. So he's going to go there. They're going to clap it up, and he's going to say, hey, could have had this. Could have had this. That's it.
You can't have this.
Can't touch this.
When he was on, I wasn't on that day, and I wanted to tell the story of when I played with Mookie for the 2 days that I played with him. I said, I was going to tell him it was in 2016. 15. I was there for 2 days. Travis Shaw had just gotten called up. He had no hits, so he's still looking for his first big league hit, and he hits a rocket to the shift. The second baseman was playing in right field, so you just get called up, and the shift beats you for your first not a big league hit. And Mookie was sitting right next to me, and he goes, yeah, and he stands up. And he was the only person in the whole stadium that stood up because there was a ground ball to the second baseman. And I was like, what are you doing? He goes, oh, shoot. So Mookie is human.
He is human. He's funny. He's a good dude.
So
He's
funny.
excited. He's great. And he does a great job, like basically as a broadcaster already too. All right. So if you're in the New England area, or even if you're not, you can get there. Highly advise you to check out the Gametime app. Look for those last minute flash deals. It's the best spot for last minute tickets without the stress. They've always got great inventory available for you. It is the fast and easy way to get tickets for all sports, music, comedy, theater, whatever it is you're looking for. They are so good on the last minute front that you don't have to worry about buying tickets months in advance. This is like day of, weather's great, Mookie's coming back, he's healthy, I want to see what's happening there. You hit that and you slide over the toggle button there to see those flash deals, and you'll get hooked up with also the Gametime guarantee, which means you'll always get the best price on tickets in the same section and row for less. If you find it somewhere else for better pricing, they will credit you 110% of the difference because they don't have to do it. All right. I mean, it's that simple. You're not going to find it better elsewhere. So download the Gametime app, create an account, use code FTLive for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code FTLive for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. I like that. It's just like one game we had to hit. That's Mookie Betts tonight, back in Boston. Ken Rosenthal back on the show to go over Ohtani news next. I want to know more on what's important to him, right? Like, do you think knowing this player that's going into free agency, hasn't been in the playoffs yet, the one thing he's been vocal about is wanting to win? Do you think the most important thing for him is to say, hey, I'm going to put the pitching aside for now. I want to be a hitter on a winning ball club, and then maybe I can at some point get the surgery and do this again? It's so weird, too, because we just don't usually have players that are like, oh, I'll just hit for now, and then I'll deal with that elbow at some point.
I mean, I think he wants to win. Obviously, all players want to win. But I also think he really wants to be a historic player. He wants to be this two-way superstar that he is. So that's why I think he's going to do everything in his power to continue to pitch. I'm just not 100% sure that it's going to be possible just because it's, what happens. But certainly his first choice is going to be to continue pitching. He wants to be, the greatest player ever. He wants to blaze this trail as the greatest two-way player ever. He wants to do all that, and he also wants to win. So, I couldn't tell you what percentage for what, but I know those are two very important things to him.
Jeff, let's get to Trout quick. So he hops back onto the IL. What happened there, and did he come back too soon? Because AJ was worried about that with an injury like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's a broken hamate. They basically just take the bone out, and then it's just when you can tolerate the pain again. So the general time frame for that is like 4 weeks to 8 weeks, but it has gone longer with some guys. He was at 7 weeks. He said there was still some pain, but he thought he could tolerate it. We played one game. It was worse than he thought. And so they just decided, they didn't want to take a chance that maybe he would cause some other injury to something else if he changes his swing. So obviously there's no point in taking any risks at this point in the season. So they're going to give him another at least 10 days on the IL and see what happens.
And now back to foul territory.
Back on FT Live at Atlantic City in Borgata, Scotty Braun and Erik Kratz, and now joined by Ken Rosenthal. Ken, great to see you. I know you're in Minnesota. We'll get to that in a little bit, but the news comes out yesterday, really the night before technically, about Shohei Ohtani, and we're excited to get your thoughts on how this is going to play out for him, including the free agency extravaganza that I'm sure we'll talk about quite a bit, and you wrote about it. So what do you got for us?
First of all, Scott, we don't know how this is going to play out just yet. All we know is that he has a UCL tear. Now, Evan Drellick wrote a really interesting article, I thought, this morning, came out in The Athletic, about how if Ohtani wants to get back to being a pitcher again, the best way to do that is to follow the progression that all pitchers follow after Tommy John surgery, if indeed he undergoes Tommy John surgery. And then you have the situation where he possibly would not be hitting if indeed that is his focus, getting back to being a pitcher. This, remember, would be his revision, second Tommy John surgery, so it complicates things a little bit, makes the recovery process longer, makes him perhaps required to be more diligent in that process. Not that he wasn't diligent the last time, but this is even more regimented, I guess, than it would be after a first Tommy John surgery. Now, we don't know yet if that is the course that this is going to go. He may go for an internal bracing procedure, which has become more popular in recent times, which lessens the recovery time. It's a different kind of thing. I don't know if you can do that for a revision for a second UCL tear. The other thing he could do conceivably would be simply to rehab it on his own and hopefully go about it that way. I don't know. We don't know. We don't have information on that yet. It's obviously going to be something that really dictates his future, his free agency too, because his free agency will hinge on what teams think or what he can do going forward.
Now, the biggest question is value. Where is the value decreased? What is that value to? Is $500 million too much? I mean, not Ohtani. Judge just got 360 and he was 2 years older than him, and you kind of hit a number of 500 million. If that's a real number, what was the number going to be? 650?
Well, we don't know, Eric, and I would have expected that if he was healthy, the number would have been over 6 because of just all the attention he gets, all of the demand that would be in place for him. He is a unique player in the game's history. I don't have to repeat that. Now it's different. And now it seems to me, and I wrote this yesterday, that you have to look at him as a hitter only. And if he pitches again, how much he pitches again, that would be a bonus. Now, again, I'm assuming things by saying that too. I don't know, again, what the recovery process is going to be like. But it would seem to me that you have to look at him now as a hitter first. And if he misses all of next year with hitting and pitching because he has to recover from the pitching side of it, okay, you structure a deal perhaps with that in consideration. You definitely would, actually. But I wrote this yesterday, and I believe this. $500 million is still realistic because of who he is, because of the marketing opportunities he gives your team, because of everything that he offers. And you made the point, Eric, and it's true. He's 2 years younger than Judge. And people say, well, can he be only a DH if he doesn't pitch again? Not necessarily. This guy can play right field or even center field. He could play any of the outfield positions. And I would imagine once he could throw again, he'd be a really good outfielder. So there is a lot of unknown here, but I just expect the demand is still going to be really high because of all that he brings and potentially brings if he can pitch again. And we have seen pitchers recover and pitch again from a torn UCL. It's happened. Jamison Tyone has done it. Nathan Eovaldi's done it. It's not easy. The success rate is not as high coming off a second injury of this kind. But we have all bet against Ohtani in the past, and we have all been wrong. Every one of us who doubted this guy has been wrong. And you have to keep that in mind when assessing his future as well.
Is there a marketability fear that he's not going to be as marketable if he's just a hitter? Because I know some of that $500 million is cooked in with his marketability numbers, but if he's just a hitter and he comes out and says, I just don't think I can do it anymore, which I doubt, I'm not in that camp, but does his marketability number go down, which pushes his number down even more?
I'm not sure, Eric, and it's funny. When I was preparing that column I wrote yesterday, I spoke with one of our writers, Andy McCullough, and we were kind of talking through it. And he said, don't forget that part. You can still sell billboards with Shohei Ohtani regardless of whether he can pitch or not. And Andy's right, because if you think about it, right now, he's the best hitter in the game. Most home runs, highest OPS. What more do you want? that player you could market. And he, of course, is marketable not just on this continent, but in his home country of Japan, throughout Asia, and all of the world, I would imagine. So I would expect that he is still just as marketable, maybe not quite as marketable, let me correct that, but he still has that incredible magnetism and power in that regard.
Ken, I remember bringing this up years back, and I actually felt like I was somewhat on an island because I didn't hear or read much about this topic. But when he got Tommy John surgery the first time around, I was like, why isn't he getting it right now? Why is he finishing off the season? Then he ended up starting the next year late. Okay, whatever. It's a month or two. But I'm just thinking for him, if he does end up still hitting after recovering from the surgery and say he signs with Seattle, well, I want him to get that surgery now. The rest of the season's a wash. There's some individual accolades. It was cool to hear Kratz say the same exact thing at the top of the show. What are your thoughts on that front? I mean, regardless of what he's doing, if he is going to have surgery, shouldn't he be making these decisions now? The Angels season is over.
I agree, Scott. And that to me would be the wisest course. And it seems to me that they're gathering information still and trying to figure out what the proper course is. But if that surgery is required, yes, get it now, begin the process, and that way you get back to the field either as a hitter or a hitter pitcher that much sooner. So I don't expect he would delay it. It was very unique the other night when, after learning that he had a torn UCL, he just decided to play the second game. And clearly right now, the decision is that he will DH until further notice. That's what the Angels have said. We'll see how long that lasts. But he wants to play. He wants to earn his money. He wants to contribute. That's kind of who he is, right? And that's what you want. But at the same time, for his future value and simply for his recovery, yes, if he needs Tommy John surgery, sure, you want to get it done as quickly as possible.
Okay, Ken, I want to take you to one of the bigger problems we have in the sport, and I call it a John problem. Fisher and Angelos, two of really the worst owners of any businesses really out there, aside from just sports. I'll say it. I don't care. I mean, they're everything that is wrong with baseball, the business of baseball, the game of baseball, right? So you just wrote about John Angelos, Baltimore Orioles owner, who whenever he talks, everyone gets dumber. And he spoke basically, in my mind, so that he could play some defense as to why the Orioles are not going to extend this young core. They've been tanking and not spending any money for years. They're still not really spending money. They profit their asses off. Let him come out and say otherwise to me. He won't. He'll never show his books like he always says. If you're so poor, sell the team. So that's me, and that's what I get. And those are my feelings when I read your article about what John Angelos said. What do you think? And did he talk so that he could play defense like that in your mind? Because the Orioles are going to have this fun 3-year window, and then people are going to start leaving or getting traded.
I don't know what he was thinking when he said what he did to Tyler Kepner of the New York Times. To me, those comments were, A, inaccurate because they can afford players. And as I mentioned in the article, the Tampa Bay Rays signed Wander Franco for $182 million. The same offseason, they offered Freddie Freeman $150 million. That's the Tampa Bay Rays. These things are possible even for teams where the revenue isn't quite as high. The Orioles are doing just fine. According to Forbes, and granted, we don't know if Forbes has access exact numbers, but generally they have pretty good estimates. They had the fourth highest profits in the game last year. And if they weren't fourth highest, maybe they were 10th highest. They're getting money from all over the place. And of course, they had a $42 million payroll or whatever it was last season. So you've been saving money these last few years while tanking. And now you're saying, sorry, we can't keep Adley Rutschman long term. We can't keep Gunnar Henderson long term. Well, guess what? The Braves have done it. And they've done it by striking early with players like Michael Harris II and Spencer Strider. I'm not saying Rutschman or Henderson would take those deals, but if you try, you can get them at a better rate than you'll get them when they have a year of arbitration left before free agency. So don't tell me, and don't tell your fans, more importantly, that this is not possible. It's possible. And don't blame the system when you've profited from that system. That system has served you quite well in a financial aspect. So those comments to me were wrong-headed, and they distracted from what has been and continues to be an amazing season for his team. And why you would want to go there at this stage, I have no idea. Now, keep in mind, they are negotiating a lease with the state of Maryland. Their lease at Camden Yards expires December 31st. And perhaps he was thinking of using this for leverage and saying, hey, we need more money. You're not getting more money. The state of Maryland is going to give the Baltimore Orioles, as they gave the Baltimore Ravens, $600 million for ballpark upgrades the moment they sign the lease. The Ravens have signed it. The Orioles have not. In this day and age, when public money is so hard to come by, I'm not sure what more you can ask for in a legitimate way.
Well said. And also on the front of, like, say, Forbes doing their homework, they can see a lot of what the Braves are doing. It's a publicly traded team. So you can
Yes.
see many books and see how well these franchises are doing. So John Angelos, you can't hide anywhere. He's full of shit. It's
And
fraudulent, the
again,
comments
if
that they make.
Scott, if the Orioles or any other team wants to say, oh, Forbes is making this up, that's fine. Let's see your books. And they won't show us their books. We all know that. They're private companies. They don't have to do that. But when you just continually knock down reports like that from a reputable publication, there's no question if Forbes is that, well, you have no credibility in this argument. You can't point to facts that indicate otherwise. And we'd all welcome that if that was true and what he's saying is indeed a problem for the Orioles or the Guardians or any other team. Okay, that's fine. But let's see it. The other thing, and I mentioned this in the article too, the Orioles were bought for $173 million in 1993 by Peter Angelos, John's father. They are now worth, according to Forbes, $1.7 billion. That's an increase of 890%. Now, when you talk to Major League Baseball about this, they'll always say, well, that doesn't count. They have to run the team based on the money that they're taking it. I get that. And it's like when you sell a house, you have to wait until the end. You're not living off what you're going to sell the house for in the future. But at the same time, my goodness, that asset has increased in value in a way that really you can't get even in the best stocks. So we're all kind of tired of hearing the poor mouthing. And that's why I said at the end of the article, enough of the poor mouthing, sell the team if this is the way you see it.
I'm wearing the shirt today. It's not orange, but it can really accomplish the same thing.
It
You might make
accomplishes
them
the
in
same
orange
thing.
soon.
Yep, you're right.
They might make it orange. So this might be a comment or a question that hamstrings both of us because we want these owners to talk, and I've called for these owners to talk. Should he just shut up, or because he was quiet for so many years, and he came out to ridicule a writer, Dan Connolly, and then he went back in, and now all of a sudden he wants. Is this talking more because they're good, or because he's just posturing for this whole ballpark renovation thing?
Well, it's a good question, Eric. And Dan Connolly, my friend, he used to be with The Athletic. He originally wrote, I don't know, maybe about a year ago, that John Angelos needs to talk. He needs to come out and say some things and address some issues. And now we kind of wish he wouldn't keep talking. But I am always in favor, as a journalist, of people talking. You always want to hear from people. But if you're John Angelos and if you're his public relations people, maybe it's better if he stops talking. Because every time he opens his mouth, it seems, there is another controversy that erupts. And also in the New York Times article, we might as well mention it. He said the Kevin Brown situation is something that shouldn't have happened and will never happen again. He runs the Orioles. He runs the Orioles regional television network. If this happened, it did happen, he's the one responsible. There's no running from that. So, again, it does nobody in his organization any good when he comes out with comments like that. You can see right through them. And that's why I wrote what I did, because I felt it needed to be said that what he was saying is just not proper, not right.
Yeah, and you backed it up with numbers too, which is the biggest thing for me. You back it up with numbers. Talking about numbers, the pitch clock, you feel like it's kind of like settled down and there's not many issues, and yet we see the biggest star go down with a Tommy John injury, UCL tear. Are we going to see it in a few years that there could be some injury issues, and some pitchers are attributed to the pitch clock?
And I'll just add one quick thing too, Ken, is that Ohtani pitched slow as hell and he sped it up. So I didn't think you were going to go that route and Ken, I know you wrote about this in the Daily Windup in The Athletic this morning, but that's a good call.
It is a good question, and I didn't mention this when I wrote what I did today. There has been that fear all along that injuries could increase because of the pitch clock. However, I would suggest that while we don't have any data yet along these lines, we can't say for sure if Ohtani's injury or any other pitcher's injury resulted from the quicker pace. It's not like pitchers just started getting hurt, Eric. My goodness, pitchers get hurt all the time. Clock, no clock. And it's been really the scourge of the sport, the biggest problem in the sport, in my opinion, for quite some time. We cannot keep these guys healthy. But from the perspective that I wrote about, just the success of the clock and the adjustment of the players to the clock, month by month, you've seen the rate of violations go down, and it's almost down to nothing. It's down for the season to 0.5 violations per game. That's really minuscule. And the reason I even looked into this was because I still see violations watching games, and I wondered, what the heck is going on? Why are players not getting this? But they are getting it. And you have to look at the aggregate and just the whole picture. And yes, they are getting it, and it's been a success without doubt in terms of reducing the time of games, increasing the pace, which is what baseball desired. These are all good things. And with the injury question, sure, you can point perhaps to some of these things, see the clock, whatever else, as factors that weren't there before and are there now, but I don't know that I buy it, man, because the injury rate is just what it is, and it's something that pitchers have been unable to avoid for quite some time.
Ken, good stuff. Enjoy that game. Good luck. I know you got Twins Rangers this weekend with AJ. We gave you the day off from him today.
With
so-
AJ.
Yeah,
That's
with
good.
AJ.
That's
Oh,
good
I'll
for
get
AJ.
plenty of them tomorrow.
Exactly. Must see TV this weekend. Ken on the game on Fox. Thanks, Ken. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys.
We'll come right back here and give you our picks for the day at Borgata. And don't miss the area's best comics taking the stage at the Borgata Comedy Club. See the full comedy club listing at theborgata.com. Back on Stadium with picks. Hour number 2 includes Andres Jimenez from the Guardians on the Jose Ramirez brawl, and Liam Hendriks will join us. My only thing that AJ will give me shit for sometimes, because I'm down there with him most of the time, is gators. They treat gators like they're just pets or something, like walking around like, oh hey, what's up? And I'm like, no.
Apparently, I heard a story actually from one of my pitching coaches, Ben Buck. Apparently, you can just pick up a gator off the side of the road, and you can sell it.
Don't do
You
that.
can,
No, AJ.
I tell you what, Chase,
He
try
was selling
that.
it.
Chase, try that, and call me 10 years later from when you get out of jail. For that one. So go ahead and try it.
If he has hands, do not do
No.
that. Do not.
Yeah, do not try that at home, and do not. You are not allowed to touch them. I mean, because you will go like
Straight to
Monopoly. You will go to jail, directly to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Your ass is in the slammer right away. So just get used to it, because do not try that now.
Ben Rice, 100%. I think Ben Rice is one of the greatest hitters I've ever seen.
Wow.
I mean, he just
There you
breaks.
go.
He
Yeah.
just breaks. He hits the ball very hard, and he plays the game with a lot of heart, and he does everything right. And just watching him behind the plate, I just have that. You ever just see a guy just think he's going to play for a long time? He has that look about him. He just kind of looks like a guy who will play for a very long time. He just knows the game.
Hits the ball hard. What else? Like, is he adjusting to, in between games, like game plan wise? Is he a great adjuster? Like, what to you makes him look like, all right, this is going to be a long time big leaguer for the Yanks?
He makes the adjustments.
Yeah.
He does. I mean, before the walk off, I mean, he had the great mindset of just going in there and not trying to do too much. He got bases loaded, just trying to put the ball in play, get tie the game up, and just happen to put the bat on the ball. He has enough juice to put it out of here. So he's just a great hitter all around. He just has a great mindset.
And now back to foul territory.
Back up Borgata in Atlantic City. It's Braun and Kratz with you on FT Live. So let's get to our picks. And first, remind everyone, we got the Astros and the Tigers for you for the MLB free game of the day, streaming on the BetMGM app. You get into the app and you can watch the game for free. Live streaming available if you're a BetMGM customer and you're logged in and have a funded account. So get after it. And if you want to bet on that game, have fun. For us, we'll backtrack for a second, look back at our locks from yesterday. That is what we call a clean sweep. AJ was nervous because he had so many little nuances to his bet, but he hit. So you're good. All right, so let's spin it forward. Our BetMGM locks for Friday. And as you can see, Kratzy and I, we know what we're doing, okay? We're both up on the year. So what do you got for today?
I got Dane Dunning, Texas Rangers, facing off in Sonny Gray, Minnesota Twins. It's going to be a great series. Texas needs to pick it up, all that stuff. But I just need 5 strikeouts from both guys. Both have hit. The Twins strike out all the time. I think Dane, you could buy it up to like 7 strikeouts. He's going to be a sinker back on the plate, slider off the plate kind of guy, and the Twins are going to be flailing. Sonny Gray gets 5 every time except for twice this season. So I love this pick.
I know, and I feel like sometimes on Fridays we love what we've got. Like this is one of those days. I probably had it 4 or 5 times this year where I'm like, okay, Orioles run line, and I know any game could be close, but they've been on a heater. They're actually 30-13 in the second half of their season. They're on fire. They're hosting the Rockies. So that run line is at -105, which I feel like is not enough. Like this was one of those games where I'm like, maybe it's -2.5. It's Kyle Freeland. He has not had a good year. Orioles offense is flying. Their relief pitching is so much better than what the Rockies bring to the table. Cole Irvin's actually been great. And then you get deeper into things, and Kyle Freeland's sinker's not sinking the same way this year. He's given up way more fly balls, and the Orioles destroy that pitch anyway. So there's too much adding up right now. The Orioles crush left-handed sinkers specifically.
Yes.
So I'm like, whew. All right, let's see what happens. But usually, as you know, when I've had that's like a super lock for me. It's
like
gone
it.
well. It's
no,
gone
I like
well.
it. I like it. Say it with your chest.
Yes. You got your bonus bets this weekend. If you log into the BetMGM Sportsbook app every Friday for the next 3 weeks, you can get after it. Anyone, all eligible players will be awarded a bonus bet. And we'll swing right back on our YouTube channel for Foul Territory.
Gotta let go so I can be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me, and I can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
It's hour number 2 of FT Live. We're at Borgata in Atlantic City. Scotty, Braun, and Erik Kratz about to be joined by one of your dudes. When did you play together?
The mate, 2014 in AAA Buffalo.
There
We
you
were
go.
right near the border, and we always jumping over the border. We got called up to the big leagues quite a few times. Didn't go too well as a starter, but then we got traded to the Royals, and we got ourselves a little bit of second place ring. And then he got picked up by the Blue Jays right away again. So that's Liam Hendriks' whole story.
That might be better than your Salvi impression. That's really good.
We'll see. We'll see
Liam
if he likes
Hendriks
it.
from the Chicago White Sox. Let's bring him in. Liam, how'd he do?
How we
Have
doing?
you heard that impression before?
Yeah, it's the worst I've heard.
See, come on. Mate, we were
And let's be
traded
honest, the
together.
first 2 starts with the Blue Jays were all right, and
The
then
first 2.
they decided to put me into the bullpen for Stroman, and I never got. And then I get that. I did see a little tidbit the other day. I was the last game the Blue Jays ever won in Cincinnati before this last series was the game I started, and I gave up 7.
You did. You gave up 7. It was like they were.
And
I'll
if I
never forget
remember
that
correct-
game. Yep.
If I remember correctly, you had was it like a 7 or 8 pitch at bat against the Aroldis Chapman, and the one fastball he threw you was a double off the wall.
Yep. I was waiting for it. Foul ball,
He was
change. He threw
scared.
me 2
He was
changeups
scared.
that at bat, and then I hit it over Skip Schumacher's head, now manager of the Marlins, and it was a double off the wall, scoring none other than Colby Razzle Dazzle.
Wow,
But-
Kobe
And that
Razzle.
was, I still remember, that was Jose Batista had come in after I'd been taking, I started the game, didn't even get an at bat. And then this is back when we used to hit and stuff, but didn't get an at bat. And Batista came in and just said, "Don't worry, we got this one. Don't worry about it. We're going to win this one." And I mean, that sums up Jose Batista. So congratulations to him on his retirement. But that's the kind of guy he was as well.
That's the kind of lineup we had too. I mean, it was the Dominican Bombers. I mean, it was Batista to Eddie to Brett Lowry. I think he was Dominican. Adam Lynn. The dudes were just smashing.
I mean, Russell the Muscle, Deanna Navarro, Kevin Pillar. Yeah, I mean, that Ryan Goins was there. Devin Travis, I think he was healthy at the time. Like we had that lineup was stupid. That lineup was unreal. Well, I mean, 14 and 15 for us, but yeah, it was something special. That was a really cool little group to be a part of.
But then we got traded together, and at the time, it was the Liam Hendriks trade, and it turned into the Erik Kratz trade.
It was the Danny Valencia trade.
It was the get rid of. Well, you tell it. You tell it.
Yeah. So Danny I still keep in touch with Danny, and Danny calls. He goes, yeah. So you get traded to the Blue Jays. He's like, okay, who for? Liam Hendriks. He goes, okay, yeah, who else?
Yep.
That was the Danny one. So it was me and you for Danny Valencia, and yeah, I mean, shaped the way for everybody. You went straight to the big leagues. I decided to go to the Omaha Storm Chase and had to wear my socks up for the first time in my career. Yeah.
What a journey! What a journey it's been from you, a starter bouncing around. Like that trade was just to get rid of Danny Valencia, but it put you on a path to then go back to the Blue Jays, and all of a sudden you said, "Oh, all right, mate, I'm gonna throw a cutter at 97." What a transition, and I'm glad that I could be the one to help you get into that transition.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that bullpen of the 2014 Royals, been Wade Davis, Greg Holland, Kelvin Herrera. You had James Shields and Jeremy Guthrie in the rotation. You had Scott Downs, Jason Fraser out there. That, I mean, you talk about some dudes that can give you some knowledge. And that was my first experience of actually sitting in a bullpen for an extended period of time and being able to learn from those guys. I mean, that sort of stuff's invaluable. That's why I think a lot of teams, they need that veteran leadership, especially in the bullpen, because you need to learn how to show up every single day and be ready to go.
All right, so let's get the update first on how you're doing. Obviously, we'll get into what a wild damn ride it's been. Yes, exactly. Picture proof.
Yeah, that fit is nice.
How's that brace? How's it going?
What's crazy is it actually hurts less now than pre-surgery. So there's that's going for me, which is nice. Yeah, get a little smiley face on the inside of the elbow now, which is at 34 isn't exactly when I expected to. Like I was hoping once I got past early 30s, I'd be all right and in the clear, but unfortunately not. But surgeon said it went perfectly. He also said, "How the heck were you able to throw last year after doing the same thing you did this year?" So yeah, it was, it's been in the works, unfortunately, for a while. And look, I'm personally extremely proud of the way I was able to get back this year and accomplish everything I kind of wanted to this year. And I left no stone unturned. I mean, I threw a live BP in New York when we were playing the Mets just after the All-Star break and was 2-4. And then the next, with pain. And then the next day next bullpen was in Minnesota. I threw a live BP. And I mean, I gave the last couple of pitches everything I had, and it was 92 with pain. So showed up the next day, long toss with a heavy ball, long toss with a light ball, trying to snap that shit clean off. And here we are.
Now, I'm going to go back to the text that I sent you just recently. And I said, sorry to hear about your Tommy John. And your response was epic. You said, "It is a blessing. I can't believe it lasted this long." 2008?
I mean, Yeah, so I had so the way it gets described to me now is I had no idea. I thought the UCL was almost like a band, like the ankle bands you use. I thought it was similar to that, but no, the surgeon was like, no, it looks like almost like an upside down tortilla chip, which is the way he described it. Very crude drawings and stuff like this. But the pointy part was completely torn, and that's been torn since 2008. But it had calcified over, so there was a little bit of like my own body protecting me with that. And then I had started to rip the top part of it as well, and that's what had really caused everything. But look, it's we gave it a shot. We gave it our best go, and as my wife decided to post on Instagram the other day, I can now lift the toilet seat up and down without pain, which is new territory for me.
Christy always has a way with words, and I appreciate that about her.
Wait, I have a question though. Timetable? Do we know? Like, can you come back next year? Is there any chance, being that you are a reliever now, that you could speed up the process?
So they sent out the kind of timeline and all this sort of stuff. I've already trimmed some fat off it. So the plan is to be like, obviously, depending on how it all goes, and who knows how it's going to go, but they always say 12 to 15, and let's shoot for 12, and that'll be 12 months will be August, so 13 months will be September, and that's the goal right now. But obviously take it smart, be in the right frame of mind, and do everything the right way now. But look, if there's little things that I can do to push it along further, that's what I'm going to do.
Hell yeah, there's nothing like a reliever coming back for the stretch run. I mean, hey, that was the talk about Edwin Diaz this year. If the Mets had been in contention, it would have been cool in New York. So maybe we get that story next year. So also clarification, because I was trying to look, and I'm a pretty big like contract and numbers nerd, but I'm like, dude, your contract is very unique. So like, when are you a free agent? And I mean, you don't have to give me every part of it, but obviously I think they put it out in public anyway. So can you explain it better than I can?
Yeah. So what it is when I signed with the White Sox, look, they weren't willing to guarantee that fourth year, but we had a little bit of a workaround that they had reached out and brought the idea to us about. And it's similar to like an NBA style contract where the option and the buyout are the same price, but the buyout is paid out over 10 years. So if they pick up my option, great, I get paid next year. If they decline my option, I get paid a certain amount every year for the next 10 years, and I'm also a free agent at that point. So look, I've been very open to everybody in the front office as far as like coaching staff and everybody who would want to listen that I want to stick around. I feel like I have unfinished business in Chicago. And look, the ball's in their court. I have no say over the option, but it is what it is. And they know my personality, and they know what I feel like I can bring in a clubhouse setting. And hopefully I get a chance to come back to the South Side.
Yeah,
Which I'm still here right now because I'm still rehabbing here because that was one of the other things I requested. I was like, look, can I still be in Chicago? There's some young guys in the bullpen between Brian Shaw, myself, Aaron Bummer, that we've got some veteran guys out there, but we really want to focus in and harp on doing things the right way and making sure the guys are available. And it's a young bullpen out there now, which we can hopefully be molding into the future long-term guys in this organization.
Which is needed. Which is like you're a guy that has been through. You were a prospect. You were coming over as a high school kid. You were then kind of a failed prospect, bouncing around to elite all-star closer. Like, there's so much knowledge that you can add to this bullpen. And quite frankly, we've had the White Sox on a piss ton. Like, this is what they need. They need a guy like you to be able to tell them, hey, you're being a real pissat here. And not just the players, helping the front office, helping because you've been so many places, helping Pedro. You remember seeing Pedro when we were at the Royals, he was getting his feet wet. And like, you can be there for more than just those players. And I think the White Sox would be dumb to not keep you around.
Look, at the end of the day, I have no idea what their intentions are, but my job now is, as you said, like, I've been through the ringer. I've been DFA'd 5 times. I've bounced around. I've been on the verge of, while you guys were in the World Series with Kansas City in 2014, I was sitting in the Dominican being DFA'd and trying to figure out if I'm going to go to Korea or have a job stateside still. So I've been through a lot of things in my career, and look, it is what it is. There's a lot of knowledge I've learned, but I've learned how to come back from the brink. I've learned to do things in a certain manner, that have got me to where I am and to be as successful I have been able to be, luckily, over the last couple of years. But I mean, another guy out there, Brian Shaw, he's fantastic. Like, he brings that 80 game appearances every single year. He brings that attitude of, I just want to play. It doesn't matter what situation, doesn't matter what organization. Like, it doesn't matter. I want to pitch, and that's all he wants to do. Like, he gets visibly upset when the phone rings and it's not for him, even if it's we're up by 10. Like, it doesn't matter. He just wants to play.
Yeah, and you need that. So I remember at one point last year you said, "Hey, as a unit, I think we need an authoritarian." And I'm wondering, based off what's happened, obviously the season didn't work out well for the White Sox. Now there's been changes with the front office. I know that's not your job, but you've been in this organization. You saw the comments, I'm sure, from Keenan Middleton. Is it that bad? Or do you think that some of this is overblown? Like, give us the real talk on what you think the White Sox need to do as a team culturally to turn things around and be a consistent winner in that division.
Yeah, so I mean, I said what I said last year as far as, look, you need someone who's going to come in and have a set base of rules, and there are certain things that that Pedro's come in and done. Like, okay, there's certain little bits that we need to accompany by, but as Kratzy knows, and being in a clubhouse, it's very, very much player run. So if you see something you don't like as a veteran player, you're going to have to, that's almost on your job to be able to do something about it. Now, things have gone a little waylay in league wide because of, like, it's now the rookies are coming up and I don't know if it's social media, I don't know if it's whatever it is, but they come up feeling a little bit more entitled, and used to be able to they cut them back down to earth, but now it's you need to prosper, you need to kind of grow these guys, and everyone has a different way of doing things. Everyone has a different way of feeding into the beast, whether it be, okay, this guy needs to be supported, or this guy needs to be torn to shreds to be able to feel better about it, like to get to where he needs to be. So it's now that learning game of reading guys' body emotions and making sure that we put them in the best spot to succeed. But yeah, it's going to be largely like, there's certain things, like since recently we have now started going back to what we did as a bullpen, where we walk in together. We don't walk in singularly. We walk in, bullpen catchers, Kurt Hassler, the bullpen coach. We all walk in together because that's what LaTroy Hawkins told me in 2015, because we are a family out there and we are all in this together. And that was something that was not quite happening earlier in the year, but also, like, my story's been a little bit different this year, where I haven't quite felt like I had the authority to really get on guys as much, because one, I wasn't playing, two, I wasn't around at the start of the year. And honestly, life's perspective is a little bit different now. There's certain things I was like, I honestly just don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, but don't you feel like a team should be built where it's like, hey, we're men. Like, we don't need someone else telling us what we're doing. And it sounds like you're stepping up and making that change. And that is how a team starts to win and comes together. And I think your perspective on your life perspective is crazy, to talk about a guy who just showed us your new smiley face you have on your elbow. And it's really the least important surgery that you had, or medical event you had this year. Like, what an amazing story you have. What amazing wife and Christy to be behind you for this. Walk us through how that has changed you to be a better teammate.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Christy's an absolute rock star. There is no way I'd be, even before everything happened this year, there's no way I'd be where I am without her. Like, every time I was feeling down about myself, every time I was doubting my abilities, she would be there picking me up. I still remember a conversation we had where I was like, man, like, that guy just struck out 100 as a reliever. That's amazing. She goes, why can't you do that? I'm like, I just don't really have, like, that's not who I am. She goes, why not? Why isn't that you? Why can't you beat that guy that strikes out 100? And now, like, I was able to do it twice, and that's something that is really important to me. But look, yeah, it's been interesting. Like, I don't know if you can see on the camera, there's a scar under here, and that that was where they cut a lymph node out of my neck to truly define what I was diagnosed with, which is stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in December. And so I've got 2 smiley faces. One's just under my chin and not as cool, and the other one is hopefully giving me a new lease on life and able to extend my career by 5-6 years. And I can get to, now the goal is now with a new elbow to pitch longer than LaTroy did, and he got to I think he was 42 when he retired and decided to retire. So if I can make 43, we'll be good.
What
Mate.
age? 43? That's the age?
43, mate. Look,
Yeah, we'll see. I mean,
Wow.
at that point, I could just push for Jamie Moyer, and who knows?
mate, you're not Superman here. You're not going to even be able to use the poop paper to wipe your ass when you're done.
Yeah, I mean, there's I haven't been able to do that for a couple of years anyway. So what's new?
Well, he's going to have a new elbow, though.
He's going to have a new
Yeah,
elbow.
it's gonna be brand new. I got a brace in there. It looks like a shoelace running around through my elbow. They took part of my groin to put it in there. So I mean, I feel like that's relatively strong, but that could just be me
That is
projecting.
It seems pretty strong, but I need you to trim that beard up. If you have a story for a scar, I need to be able to see that scar. Except if you trim that beard up, then we're going to see that double chin. So we don't have time for that. So
It's not quite a double chin. It's just a very prominent bottom part, and that's why like I joked around. There was a Yankees fan earlier in the year. Was like, "Yeah, we know you look good without a beard." I'm like, "Bullshit, you do. I look horrible."
By the way, Liam, so when you pitch until 43, what would be the next step? Because obviously we've been excited to have you on here. This is a perfect platform for you because we can just chill and have a good time and, drop a few F-bombs, whatever we got to do. Like, if I ask you for like your 10-year plan after you pitch, would you rather be like in the media or a manager?
Well, first 2 years are Christie's years. She's followed me around long enough during the season, so she gets, and it's all her. If you want to go vacation, if you just want to sit at the house and do whatever you want, those are her years. She gets to decide because, I mean, let's be honest. As baseball players, we put our wives through a lot, whether it be travel, whether it be through trades middle of the season, whether it be through contract negotiations that you don't know where you're going to go until all of a sudden I need to be there a week later. Like there's a lot that goes into it, and we have a lot of animals running around, so she has to take care of all those while I'm gone as well. So first 2 years are hers, probably more. That's up to her. If she wants me out of the house after a little bit, that's also her prerogative as well. So look, I'd love to get into media, whether it be broadcasting or whether it be podcasting, whether it be a little bit of both, whether it be something. I know that I would love to get into more of a national side of thing, just because I know who I am as a person, and if I'm dealing with the same team over and over again, I'm going to get biased and jaded, and certain things aren't going to be great after a little bit. So I know that I want to be able to switch around different teams and do that sort of stuff. But look, I'd love to be a part of the media, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, obviously, hopefully I can play for another 5-10 years, and it's a decision that we don't have to make anytime soon.
yeah, okay. First of all, Sarah and Christy are friends. Okay, so you don't need to be brown nosing. You're 2 years, no chance she can even stand you for 6 months. The off season is 4 months long, so you.
Well, I didn't say I was going to be on vacation with her.
Oh, so she
just maybe go by herself.
So it's like the animals.
It's like
Yeah.
you do have to watch the
She
cats,
gets to go away for season.
the dogs, the flamingos. By that time, you'll have a lion in the backyard. It'll be
cats,
great.
the dogs, the dingoes, the platypuses.
And mate, platypi. You'll have more than one. We'll have a chair right here for you. In Borgata, we'll have a chair right for you, and we'll yuck it up, and we'll talk about catas, and we'll talk about everything baseball on a national stage.
Well, that's the one thing Chrissy's got. I can't throw a cutter to save my life. I've never been able to. If I cut a ball, it's completely by accident. But Chrissy's got these little hands, and she has the natural cut when we played catch a couple times, and that won't happen again because I hit her in the shin a couple times and she refuses now. But yeah, she has the natural cut, and she wears me out about it. She's like, no, you just don't have a cutter. Like it's not. You don't have a cutter like mine.
That's funny that you wear her out in the shins, because I don't know if you remember, but in Buffalo, the first changeup you would always throw in a game would bounce. Every single one of them when you were a starter. And he had, what did you have, like 27 straight scoreless innings or something in Buffalo that year? 23?
That was Bobby Korecki.
You did too.
I started the season off okay. I did it right, but I don't think I had 27 straight. I think I went 27 straight innings without a walk, and then I walked the same guy twice. And it was against, I want to say it was against Scranton Wilkes-Barre. And it was the same guy, and the guy was hitting like $120. So it wasn't anybody to write home about. I just couldn't throw a strike to him. And I blame the catcher for not framing, but
Was it? Yeah, sorry about that.
That jerk.
Was it Dan Johnson? Did you walk Dan Johnson twice? Is that who it was?
No, he was on our team. Remember, he was on our team. So full disclosure, we'd be playing NHL in the little bunker in between. He'd be DHing and coming up and playing a period, then going back down, getting another at bat.
Oh, he was on that
While
team
we're
in
all meant to
14.
be charting.
That's
Yep.
right. Yeah, you were charting, but you were playing NHL on, what was that? Your PlayStation 2, maybe? Or Xbox?
I don't know what it was, but all I know is we kept getting our asses whooped by all the clubbies. They were way better than us.
They were ridiculous. Anyway, NHL is random.
Unbelievable.
Hey, I want to finish with this because we're actually in South Jersey, so this crowd needs to hear about this regardless. But you've got a little tailgate action going on with a big celebrity in this state, and it's all for a great cause. There it is.
Yeah.
Give us the details of how this came together.
Yeah, so Christian and I are both very big. So we started watching Jersey Shore back in the day. As soon as I got diagnosed, as soon as I was healthy, we were thinking about ideas of look, what can we do in the South Side? What can we do to make an event? What can we do to raise awareness? And we know that Paulie D has done a lot with Be the Match, which is one of the nation's leading bone marrow and transplantation kind of organizations. So we had reached out, and I mean, I don't even think it got to be 2 hours before he'd reached back out and said, absolutely, I'm in. And so we set up for September 15th out in Chicago. So he's going to come out. All donations will go to Be the Match. They're going to be giving out swabs where you can get checked to see if you're a match for anybody who's currently going through or needs bone marrow transplant, who's currently going through any sort of cancer diagnosis. And that's something, because this is something that they had mentioned that potentially maybe in my future, depending on if it comes back and all this sort of stuff. So this is something that's near and dear to both Chris and I's hearts. But yeah, he reached out straight away, and I mean, I am pumped to say the least. I mean, you see, and look, it's like my progression you were talking about, Eric. It's watching the progression of DJ Paulie D from Jersey Shore season 1 to where they're at now. It's been a thrill ride. So I'm super excited to get a chance to hopefully to meet him and be a part of the situation. But more importantly, just so excited to be able to kind of partner with such a guy in an event that he does a lot for in the community and really put our best foot forward and hopefully raise a ton of money, a ton of awareness, and hopefully, honestly, get a couple people swabbed that then think about donating their bone marrow to save someone's life. Because that's at the end of the day, that's all we're trying to do. We're just trying to save lives out here.
That's an awesome charity you guys are working towards. Now, I have to say, you've never met Paulie D?
No, I have not. So,
Now,
I mean, it's surprising because we obviously run in the same circles.
Well, the reason I say this, do you know that one of our teammates from 2014 is that okay?
Yes,
so
I
that's
do.
the connection.
No. The connection wasn't that. We had.
Okay.
I think Christy maybe have reached out and tried to figure out she knew the connection obviously, but we had reached out because of just all the work that Paulie D has done in Be the Match. He's done plenty of it, and that was through one of the other cast members on the show. Unfortunately, lost her father, and that was something they had really got into, and he has just been plowing through it ever since. And we had reached out, and I mean, when I tell you it was almost instantaneous, the reply saying yes, I'm in. I mean, that just shows you who he is. It wasn't a deliberation. It wasn't anything like that. It was 100% I'm in. We'll figure it out.
So the connection, 2 degrees of separation. I never would have said Paulie D, Wade Davis, and Liam Hendriks.
Wade Davis?
Wade Davis'
Wade
wife
Davis's wife was in Snooki's wedding.
was in Snooki's wedding because they were friends in high school, and then she wasn't on the Wade Davis's wife was not on the Jersey Shore, but Wade went to Snooki's wedding. But anyway, that is
wild.
That's
Wade
wild.
Davis is not the name I expected to hear interviewing and being around him. I mean, less than you guys, but Wade Davis is not going to the clubs where Paulie D's playing and fist bumping his ass off. I can tell you that.
Yeah. GTC.
At the end of the day, look, Jim Tan Laundry, GTL.
Laundry. Thank you, GTL.
Well, dude, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Son.
So we'll put it all over our socials, actually, because especially our show and our pod, it's a very, very heavy Chicago crowd. So we'll make sure to circulate that, dude. Have fun with that. Have fun with him. We'll see your best fist pumping there. And, dude, great to catch up with you, all right?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for letting me talk about it all. And Look, I appreciate it. And Kratzy, I'm sure you've still got a couple bruises from the lawn darts because it wasn't only the changeup I was spiking, let's be honest.
Let's be honest. The cutter wasn't that hard, so it didn't bruise me. But make sure you do your fist bumping.
Look, can
The
you stop
DJ
calling
Paul-
it a cutter? It was a slider. It was a slider. It wasn't a cutter. You make
Well,
me
now
feel
it's a
bad by
cutter.
calling it a little shitty cutter. It was a slider. It was a banger of a pitch. I mean, come on.
Just make sure you do your fist pumping with Paulie D left-handed, okay?
No.
See you back.
I can lock it out, so I'm going to lock it out at 90 and then just bang.
That's incredible. Just a quick flip.
Just a quick
And
lock
I'm
it out.
ready.
and There
Lock
he is.
it out, make sure it doesn't move, and I can go to town.
That's incredible. Liam, dude, great to talk to you. Have a great weekend, and we'll look for some great content from that in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Love the shirt, Bronny.
Thank you so much. Cheers, man. Liam Hendriks of the Chicago White Sox, absolute gem.
You heard he said he likes the
fun.
shit. He likes your shirt.
Oh, the shirt.
Yeah, he said,
See,
I like your
I
shit,
needed you-
Bronny.
Oh.
An ex-athletic.
I should have asked him.
I didn't even think about the fact there's so much with the mate.
I
I'm telling
know.
you, like him talking about doing like a national thing, he has so much, and the stories he has, and like
I thought he said show.
no, he said shit.
Shirt. Oh, I hate when I miss that opportunity to talk
No.
Oakland A's baseball. All right, we'll get to that for a quick sec here. Do you have your shades? You do?
Oh,
Look at
are
you.
we what?
Yeah.
Is it
now's
getting
the time.
sunny?
Erik Kratz, the model. I mean, the lighting is impeccable in here. So
right.
if you need a second, your premium polarized shades are ready to go. Yes, our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with shades that will not break the bank. Look at this guy, okay? If you're trying to get into the club, you got to get through him first. They have the most insane protection program in all of eyewear. Shady Rays says that every pair of sunglasses is backed by their lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, you have to deal with this guy. No, I'm kidding. They told us they'll send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Yeah, could you kind of not sign, but give me the enthusiasm through your hands and through your facial expressions when I tell you about the fact that you can wear those Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after you make a purchase. Whenever you have a problem personally, like you lost them, you broke them, you're good, you just fist pump, you tell Shady Rays, and then you get a brand new pair. It's that simple. And also, going back to what Liam Hendriks said, they have provided much needed support to nonprofit partners across the U.S. through Shady Rays Impact, and that includes building play sets for pediatric cancer patients, providing young adults with MS the outdoor adventure of a lifetime. Just some really cool things on the community front that this company has done, and that's why we love them so much. So exclusively for the FT fam, we're giving out our best deal of the season. They are Shady Rays. If you hit up shadyrays.com and you use the code FOUL for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses, you can try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. All right, so we got 30 minutes to go on FT Live, and we're going to talk to Andres Jimenez soon. We've been really loading up the quotes for one of my favorite segs that we call That's What He Said. So we are going to start with the reason why I'm wearing one of the most popular shirts in baseball this year. It's super simple, gets the message across. It's got the green, which already stands out, and you just have the simple white lettering. They did a great job with it. I'll post some pictures and shout out the company that is selling them and put this together. But it goes back to that original reverse boycott where A's fans showed up and said, "It's not us, it's you," to the A's owner, John Fisher, who actually finally spoke out as the A's continue to make their progress towards leaving Oakland kind of for no reason and going to Vegas, where Vegas should have their own franchise and not have to deal with a villain of a human being. So let's show the quote from John Fisher. It's just full of garbage. And
hot garbage.
Hot garbage is accurate. So Raj Matai said a few takeaways from my John Fisher interview. 1, wasn't expecting him to be so candid, revealing. 2, says he will not sell even after moving to Vegas. Oof, I feel bad for the city of Vegas. A's submitted a formal application to MLB to move, and also this villain vows to retain good players once moving to Vegas. Okay. One of the quotes here, I'm sorry it didn't work out, is a strange way of saying, why didn't taxpayers build me a new stadium for my private business? These people are shameless.
I don't know. Like every time, I even read these quotes before the show. And
that was bold of you because that takes a lot of courage to read those and not want to smash a television.
It just makes me, it's a visceral reaction when you just read those out loud. Like for him to say, I'm sorry, it didn't work. Like after they've shown they want to come out to your games, they've shown that they care about this team. Old players, current fans, current players that are with other teams talking about how great the fan base is. Not one person has stood up and been like, how great is John Fisher? You ever see the movie Men in Tights? At the end of the movie, they changed all the bathrooms were called latrines. They go, and now we will call all the latrines in the county Johns, because John was the guy that was the bad guy in the movie. Well, now we have another reason to call them Johns. John Fisher and John Angelos.
Yeah, they're toilets.
Like it is hurtful, and I've never seen a company run this way. I've never seen you go to.
He doesn't run his own companies this way, by the way, because they own clothing companies.
He would never go to the people who are wearing his jeans and say, you don't look very good in those. I don't want you to wear my jeans until I take them to another city where it's going to be so much more profitable. Like they want to come
there's another
out.
step. Can I add to that? Because there actually was a story about this, and it was incredibly written. I think it was Stephanie Apstein from Sports Illustrated. So she interviewed people that work at like Gap and some of the companies that his family owns. I wasn't going to
mention
the daddy
the
money
companies.
guy, John Fisher. I don't give a shit. I mean, he's a bad guy. I don't care. Come on our show, dude. You won't. I'm scared. So there was a possum, and there's infestation in that ballpark, and it's up to them to fix that. And he purposely won't, of course, because he's trying to not just tank his team. He's trying to tank the organization, the city that has the team, right? Anything around what he owns with the Oakland A's. And they were like, hey, in this store that he owns, if they had a possum and this place was infested with animals and bugs, what would happen? They were like, we would shut the store down immediately and fix it within 24 hours. They were like, all right, cool. Good to know. It's just wild to me that
just
you
checking.
can go to a ballpark with tens of thousands of people and they can say, hey, it's kind of gross here. We're going to keep it that way. We're kind of trying to do that on purpose. We're going to raise ticket prices. We're going to give you the worst product on the field that we possibly can pull off because we want to leave. It's just tough. It's not how the game should be run. So again, someone speaks out, and I'm surprised that he ever spoke, because even when this is crazy to me too, when the team is trying to convince Vegas to give them a ton of money and tax breaks and do whatever they can to be, an even more valuable franchise in Las Vegas, he didn't show up to anything. He just had his minions show up for him. Like, he didn't even show up to the taxpayers to say, hey, I'm about to steal billions of dollars from you. Ha ha. But now he speaks. So just wild. And I love this shirt, and I want to make sure that everyone sees. And I'm glad that Liam Hendriks agreed that it is the best shirt in baseball this year, because there are certain owners that need to look in the mirror. They won't, because they're too rich and they get too much money off of this. But damn, it would really be nice if they just got out of here.
Yeah. And really, John Fisher, if you want to see the Netflix, go watch the movie Major League. John Fisher is Rachel Phelps.
He is the owner.
He is
in
Rachel
Major
Phelps.
League.
So when you watch Major League, Rachel Phelps, the deceased wife of the original owner of the Cleveland Indians in the movie, she was a showgirl. John Fisher is Rachel Phelps. Mm-hmm. So just for your information.
They are the same person.
Yes.
If you want to see what they're like.
It's a documentary.
Yes, it's basically a documentary. Let's bring in our next guest on FT Live, the All-Star, Andres Jiménez, joining us from the Cleveland Guardians. Andres, good to see you, man. It's been a minute. How you doing? How's the team doing?
Yeah, it's been a long time. What's up, guys?
Yeah,
How you guys
it's been a minute.
Good?
Yeah, we're good, dude. And obviously, I know you guys are in a little bit of a tough spot right now in the division. You're not out of it, but it's becoming a little more difficult. So with about a month left to go in the season, how do you guys keep spirits high in the clubhouse and focus on kind of putting together the best results that you can on the field. Because now, I mean, you're not a rookie. Like, you've been around for a few seasons. You know how to deal with the ups and the downs, right? You've had a lot of success last year, and you've also been on teams that were not winning as much as they should.
Yeah, obviously, like you say, I have the opportunity to be in, in the ups and downs, during my short career. But it's a different group now, younger group, too many young guys. But we had some veterans that they really helping us, the young guys in the clubhouse, and we keep positive. We still believe that we can do good things, and we are facing good teams. Now in Toronto, and next week we have Minnesota, so really important games for us.
Yeah, you guys got to keep playing for sure. But you just
Yeah.
said we have some young guys in the clubhouse. Do you remember that you're not quite 25 years old, and you're calling other guys young guys?
Yeah, they 21, 22, so I feel like they're younger than me.
Which, by the way, your birthday's coming up, so happy birthday. We probably won't
Thank
see you
you.
before
When's
that.
his birthday?
September 4th.
Yeah,
Oh, nice.
thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
You
pretty
look
soon.
you look a lot older. You look a lot older.
You got a baby face.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
getting old. Maybe this.
Getting old, maybe a little
Yeah,
barba, maybe a little bigote.
See.
Hey, show him your stance. Show him your stance. How is it?
¿Qué es esto?
We haven't had you on since Jose.
We have to hablar about the Trumpy.
Yeah, about the trumpy. Yeah.
What's that?
Trumpy. It's like what is the exact word? What is like the
Trumpy
translation?
is just like throwing punches. Basically, that's the right
Oh.
definition of it.
It's like, I think it's just like basic slang, like baseball slang. They'd be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, papi, tú eres Trumpy? Oh no, Trumpy." It's just like it's not a
Yeah.
direct translation of a word. But
Exactly.
what
It's
did you
not like
see?
a exactly translation of that word,
Right.
but that's what it means.
It translates in English to Trumpy.
Throwing haymakers.
It translates to boxing.
Yeah.
So your team won the boxing match. Jose, and we've talked about him with you in the past, is a superstar in the sport. He's a great dude. He's accountable. He leads by example. What did you think of that whole situation? First off, Tim Anderson kind of, slapped the tag on, and Jose said he didn't like the way that he plays the game. So you're on the team too, and there'd been a lot building up between your team and the White Sox. Did you feel like he was disrespecting the game, like Tim Anderson was being, say, too aggressive on his tags, and he was talking smack, he was talking shit with some of the 21-year-olds on your team that you're talking about that aren't used to even being on a big league field, let alone, going back and forth with a guy who, they don't know too well.
Yeah, it was crazy. First of all, I was running at second, so when Jose hit the double, I was the guy who scored the run. So basically, I was coming into the dugout when I saw everyone, running over there. When I get there, everything just happened. But I think he was mad because the night before, Rocchio, who's one of the young stars on the team, almost get to the base, and with the tag, he feel like he pushed a little bit his foot, and they overturned the call. So that was like the main thing over there.
Yeah, for sure.
And then we're looking at the.
We're watching.
Oh yeah.
How long did it
See,
take?
I
you to
was-
get out
I
there?
How
wasn't
often
there.
have you seen this?
I mean,
Oh.
I just had the opportunity to watch it on the replay because I was running, and everything was over when I get there.
And what did you do when you got there?
Nothing. Basically, try to get the guys because nothing good happen when we have like a fight like that. Guys can get hurt or everything. I try to separate, and Ozzy at the end he was trying to separate as well. Like we don't wanna that kind of stuff.
If someone did that, because the unique part to me was that Tim squared up as if we were about to go, 10 rounds, and everyone was just going to kind of crowd around and be like, let's go. Like I was just at an MMA fight the other day. I was like, is this happening where it's like actually a coordinated event? Would you have reacted the same way as Jose if somebody was talking to you and then actually squared up and you had to defend yourself, which is really what Jose had to do? It's like, I
Yeah,
get it, Jose. And I've watched Jose for years. He doesn't get kicked out of games. He doesn't talk smack with other
I
players. Like,
think it was
right?
his first time. I think it was his
Yeah.
first time, and he wasn't happy about it. He's not happy with what happened, but he feel like he needs to do it for the team and for the younger guys. So I don't know how I would react if it was me, but I think he do the appropriate thing for the team.
You ever been in a fight? Like in like
Yeah,
little
yeah. In
when?
2021, I just get to straight to Cleveland, and we have like a little altercation with Eaton. I think Eaton. Yeah, he was with the White Sox, so
Oh, Adam Eaton.
yeah, I don't need him. So we had to play at second, and he was mad because he think I push him out of the base, but it wasn't like that. So
Actually, kind of similar situation.
Kind of similar.
yeah,
And the
yeah,
same
in the
teams.
same team. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just the only thing is, Adam Eaton, just like Jose Ramirez, just never got involved in anything.
Yeah,
I'm being
no,
sarcastic.
he
He got in a lot
apologized.
of stuff.
Yeah,
Oh, he did?
he apologized next series because
That's
he
awesome.
was he feel like he wasn't feeling right that day and he didn't act like he should be.
I respect that. I did
Yeah,
point out afterward that, Jose apologized and Tim Anderson eventually apologized publicly. Most of the hosts on our show, and obviously everyone besides me has played in Major League Baseball, were like, why do you have to apologize? Like it happened. Tim kind of started it, right? To square up, to fight at least. Do you feel like players need to apologize if they in a fight? Because also, players get kicked out of games. After the game, they don't usually go like, I'm sorry for my actions and I got kicked out
yeah,
of the second inning. I'm like, I don't care. You don't need to apologize. Like, it's between the lines. It's a fight. It's not, a criminal case. It happened. It's over.
yeah. If
Let's
it
keep
happens,
rolling.
it happens, and it's over. I feel
Yeah.
like if it happened for a reason, and that's it. But the most important thing for me is that kind of stuff has to stay on the field.
Yep. Agreed.
Like when it happens, it's already over. If you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. It's already over.
Yeah, nothing else. You don't want to see anybody coming over to the other team's clubhouse with a bat. Anything
Have you
crazy
seen that?
like that. I've seen it, but that's
Oh
for
my
another story.
gosh.
That was
Yeah,
with the
you
White
maybe
Sox. That
see
was,
you maybe see more that I can do.
yeah. No, we'll get into that another time.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
Estolo solidificó como líder for Jose. Does this solidify him as the leader, or he didn't need to stand up for everybody?
No, I feel like he has to lead the team in that way because he wasn't happy with the play the night before. So I feel like he wanted to lead us on that way, and for us as a young guys, look at him as a leader. It's kind of like good message for us. Like he respect the game, he respect the team, and we're with him.
And he's a quiet leader too. He's not super outspoken, right? Like what
To
is
us, to
to the media?
outside the team.
Right. What is his personality? You've gotten to play with him for a while. Every teammate always says the best things about him.
Yeah, he's really quiet. He don't talk too much. Honestly, he's really over focused on his game, on his preparation. Uh, he's a guy like I don't know. He just really focused on his team, on his preparation. That you don't want to talk to him right before the game or even on the game because he's really hyper focused on what he's doing. That's why he's so good.
And so who's the opposite of that? Like, is there someone either on your current team or that you've played with in the past where after a situation like that, they'd run in the clubhouse and be like roaring like a tiger or something like that? Like, let's go.
Oh yeah, there is a couple games. I don't want to say names, but after that situation happened, they were, they love those kind of stuff.
You don't want to tell us names. You don't want to tell us even like a hint of somebody who was like, because sometimes I know as a player, if you're in that situation, it is hard to come down from it. Like you
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
just like. So was there anybody who was just like, I feel like I could see Josh Naylor just like pacing through the dugout like.
He's got Bo
Like-
in there now too, though.
Yeah, but
Little
Bo seems way more chill. He seems
Yeah,
like
yeah. Bo is
he's
pretty
way
chill.
more chill. But Josh seems like he is like he seems like he's just like a toro, like a bull, just.
Oh yeah, he takes a lot of pride of being on the team. He do everything for the team, basically anything. He's the
Yes.
energy. He brings the energy every day to the dugout.
And so that's good.
And anyway,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
All right, so another guy that brings energy, that brings actually a great line after this whole situation we're talking about is your manager, Terry Francona. Our player hosts know him very well for many years, and we heard his comments 2 days ago kind of saying, hey, I'm not sure how much time I have left as a manager. This really could be it for him. In my mind, reading between the lines, it did sound like that. I know, you're still playing with under your manager, but I thought it was interesting to hear him say, like, even if he was calling it a career, he's like, I don't want to make it about me. Like, I don't want the last 6 weeks even of our season to be everybody, cheering for me and maybe giving me gifts and asking me questions. So he wants the last 6 weeks, even if this is it for him, to be about the players. Like, what did you think of those comments from him? And now you've gotten to spend some time playing for someone like Tito. Do you appreciate how good he is as a skipper? Because I think you've played for 2 big league skippers now,
No,
right?
3 years with him.
3 years with him.
Yeah.
How many managers have you played under? Because you played, who'd you have with the Mets? Was it Rojas?
Oh yeah,
Probably?
yeah. Only 2 managers. Yeah,
Yeah.
Rojas in 2020 and Tito last 3 years.
Got it. So yeah, tell us about what you think with Tito and how good he is at his job, and also the possibility that this could be the last time for your team to soak up all of the
Yeah.
knowledge and the winning attitude and just the great guy that he is to have leading an organization. That's
Got a
Tito
phone
calling.
call.
Hey,
Yeah.
yeah, give us your thoughts on Tito.
Yeah, I feel like what he say to the media. He says a lot about him. He don't want to make about him, knowing that we are in the fight for the division. And I don't have to say anything about Tito. Just great teams, man. He's great manager. He give us a lot of confidence for the young guys to come here, get our preparation and play the game in the right way. I feel like everything. I mean, I played with him the last 3 years, and the thing that I'm gonna keep with me is just the hustle, the emphasis, and the focus that he put on the hustle, on the running, and play the game in the right way. I feel like that's the message that I'm gonna keep with me my whole career, and how he's as a person, man. He's been great with us. He's been humble and just a great manager. For me, it's gonna be a Hall of Fame for sure, manager Hall of Fame, and I'm gonna keep his. I want a baseball with his signature, and keep it on my office.
you want him to sign a baseball, or do you want him to sign
Yeah,
like some gum?
whatever.
Maybe
Maybe a
his
picture.
gum, his gum container that he always has all his
Yeah,
unwrapped gum in. Tito always
yeah. Sign
has.
that for me, please.
Yeah, that's what you need. You need Tito to sign that. You're going to be here for 8 more years. You might end your career with Cleveland. Who do you want to be the next manager?
Who I
Sandy?
won? Oh my God. I don't know. For me, if I have to pick, I will say Tito.
Yeah.
Okay,
Always
that's
Tito.
good. Yeah.
Well, then on that front, Andres, being that he said that and he has gone through many health issues and he's been able to overcome them to be able to still be managing the team. I know he's had to take time off in the past.
Yeah,
you
he's
think
he's
that?
been he's been
Yeah.
putting a lot of work, a lot of effort just to be able to be the whole season. We
Yeah.
got a situation in 2021, I think, that he have to take his health first.
Do you think that anybody on your team will be going into the manager's office and say, "Hey, can I talk you into one more season?" Right? Because the guys like what they have right now, and that's happened many times before. That's happened with players too. That have we had one guy. Who was it? I think it was Billy Wagner. We had on a show once, and he said that he was like, "This is my final year," and then like the team starts trying to talk him into
Totally.
not stopping. So, do you think that anyone on the team that's been around him, like a player, will be like, "Tito, no, don't go"?
I don't feel like players realize that he's maybe his last year. That's what I feel like, and we are so focused on our team. The thing is that he's not making his situation appears on the media or make it by himself. He's trying to just keep us focused on the game and on the team first, and then what happens. But I feel like as a great manager that he is, he's just focused on the team. He's not focused on his teams.
Now that Rosario's gone, how soon is it going to be until you slide over to shortstop?
I don't know, man. I'm getting old, like you said before.
Oh
I'm
my
Oh
getting old.
goodness,
I don't
gosh,
know.
here
Andres,
we
tú
go.
sabes. Come on, no.
You're too old for shortstop. Come
Tú eres
on.
no viejo, tú eres
I
abuelo.
maybe I don't know. I maybe forget about it. I maybe
You forget how to
I don't
play?
know how to play shortstop.
Have you been at second base long enough now that you're like, I'm good here. Like I really like second base.
I mean, I really like second base, but I really like shortstop. So I just take a lot of pride of of play defense. It's just fun for me play defense. I had the opportunity to be in the shortstop on WBC, and I was kind of like, if I want to play shortstop again, I have to, be on the whole off season working for. It's
So
not an easy thing to play second and then play shortstop.
how much work is that? Take us through that because there's been some other players that
Yeah.
have left organizations. They were playing shortstop. I try to explain it from a catcher's point of view, but a big league shortstop is way different than a guy who can play shortstop every other day or like twice a week. How much of a difference is that?
Yeah, it's different. It's totally different. Moving from shortstop to second, that second from short, because in seconds you have to chance just to stop the ball and then make a good throw. On shortstop, you cannot stop moving. You have to be on rhythm the whole time because it's longer distance.
And is that what you would work on in the offseason? That rhythm and that
Yeah,
like
I mean, if the opportunity is there and I want to do it, I have to put a lot of work on the off season on that, on getting my rhythm back from shortstop to first, and it needs a longer throw every single time. So prepare my arm to those, for those throws, and just get my rhythm back. And I feel like
so
the games are gonna give you that.
yeah, so you'll get enough reps in. But now
Yeah,
is the
exactly.
real answer because you said you were kind of nervioso, is the real answer because you kind of got a little bit fatter at second base or are you fine? Because now you want to hit for power. Some guys move off a shortstop and they're like, mucho comido. Gracias.
I don't know. I eat a lot. I honestly eat a lot, but my weight is the same. So
Yeah, because you're not viejo, man. Because you're a freaking bambino.
yeah, 24, maybe 25 next week
Yep.
is gonna be
Next
25,
week.
So
but
if
yeah, I don't
T,
know.
yeah.
I play whatever help the team. If the team comes to me and tell me like, hey, I feel like the best fit for the team is gonna be you playing in shortstop, I prepare myself to do it. If they say it's gonna be better for the team playing at second, I play second.
So if the team comes up to you and says, "You're signed for a long time. You're one of our vets. We love you. You're having a great second half. What do you want to do? Like, should we prepare, our next young guy coming up to be a shortstop? Because I know Cleveland's got a lot of really good
Yeah,
middle
it's
infielders
it's
too.
just for me. It just depends what's the best fit for the team because I know they have so many great talent, young talent, and they told me like, hey, the best fit for me for the team is gonna be you playing at short because we have a great guy at second or something like that. I will obviously take the opportunity, but
Okay, but
I will take my off season preparing myself to do it.
prep for shortstop.
Yeah, exactly. If
Yeah.
they come to me and say like, "Hey, the best fit for the team is you playing at short," I'm gonna take my off season and prepare myself to play shortstop. It just depends what the best fit is for the team
I
because
like
I
it.
understand they have so many great young guys here.
Yeah, you got a lot of good middle infielders in that
Oh
farm
my god,
system. So yeah,
yeah,
right?
and they great. They can hit for power. They can play great defense. They got a great arms, and I don't know. We
Yeah.
have a lot of young guys here.
They're not you. They're not you, though,
Yeah, they're not
Andres.
you. They're not you. They're doing it in the
you're the
minors. They're not
jefe
you
now.
yet. Yeah.
You're the jefe, WBC, Venezolano. You got the suite. You got the suite in the hotel room. Lo siento, malo tuyo.
Hey, Andres, I got one more for you. So I don't think we've had you on since the trade deadline. Ahmed Rosario is a friend of yours. Obviously, he was your double play partner. He had a great year
Yeah.
last year. He'll be the first to say like this year wasn't as good for him. What were your feelings and emotions when he got traded to the Dodgers to be part of that team now? I know you were close with him. I know he was a vocal guy, a big team leader, and that him and Jose Ramirez were really tight too, right?
Yeah, they were a good. They are good friends. I think still. We just saw him in the last series. Dodgers were at home, and he was weird, man. Saw him with another uniform because I only been with him the whole time. My whole big league career, I was with him. I was with him in the Mets, and we got traded together. So it's kind of like it was like a weird situation. But I know happy for him to have another opportunity on the big league club, and he's doing really good. And now he's playing second. I saw him playing second the other day against us.
Because he
And
wants to be like you?
no. He got his own talents. But it was weird. I think when the trade happened, we were in the airplane waiting for, and we couldn't see him anymore.
Wait, you were in the airplane?
You're like
And
on the
Yeah, we
team
were.
plane.
Yeah,
did
we
he have
were
to
we
get
were
off?
waiting. No, I think he never go to the airplane.
Oh, okay. So
Okay.
you got to the team plane. You guys are on the. I mean, when did you realize like we're missing one of our starters?
¿Dónde está, Ahmed? Hola.
Yeah, those,
Ahmed.
those early games you have to play the game, take a shower, and just pack everything. And the airplane was departure, and I was like, someone is not here. What happened with
Someone.
Ahmed? And they were like, we don't know. When we land, they give you the news.
Were you worried
Yeah,
for a sec? Like, is he okay? Or did you
next
figure,
day was
maybe he got
Hibali,
traded?
and next day was just Bell.
Right.
No more key. So did you get to say bye to him? Did you get to give him a hug, or did you wait until you guys played against him?
Yeah, with Hibali, we have the opportunity to say bye, and JB, we have the opportunity to say bye, but not with Ahmed.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
That's tough.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
tough.
That's trade deadline for you. Well,
Yep.
yeah,
Andres,
exactly.
yeah. It was great catching up with you. We had a lot to get to with you. See, if we don't talk to you for like a month, we got so many questions for you. So it was awesome catching up, though.
Yeah.
Keep doing your thing. Keep crushing it in the second half. All right.
Okay, I will try my
Yes.
best.
Thank you. We know you
Gracias, buena
do.
suerte.
Cheers, Andres. We'll talk
All
to you
right,
soon.
gracias.
Andres Jimenez from the Cleveland Guardians joining us. It's crazy. It's like you hop on the flight. I mean, if you're deep into your career like you're probably like, oh, he gone.
Yeah, he gone.
And
That
you
didn't
hope
take
that
long.
because if he's not on the flight, you're worried then that there's something going on, like, maybe there was death in the family or whatever, right? Like,
Right, and you're
then
texting
you're worried.
him and
Yeah.
you're figuring it out. But he's exactly right. The day games, he just kind of alluded to it. You hop in the shower, you limpiar your cuerpo, you wash your body, and it's like the Wawa's leaving in 20 minutes. The bus is leaving in 20 minutes.
That's
and
it.
You got to have your bag out. They're throwing the bags on, and you go from bus through the Bobo security, where it's like, okay, you're good, and you go through, and you get on the team flight. It's quick, and you're in there. You're hammering your Chick-fil-A already on the flight, and you're like, wait a minute, ¿qué es esto?
Because
Where's Ahmed?
He's a talker. Like, he's one of the louder dudes on the team, so he's missing real quick.
That's probably why he said it. He said he wasn't like counting like. Everybody, your partner is your partner
26-man roster,
yeah.
24, 25.
Wait a
minute.
No, he probably was like, hey, where's the musica, man? Ahmed sounds like a radio. He's always talking.
Yep. All right, let's slap.
We can slap in person.
That's true. We can. That is true. We can slap in person.
Yeah.
My big thing is, what a week. It was fun to be on the road in multiple spots. We might have some big news over the weekend, maybe, that we can announce in terms of where we'll be.
Solidifying it, hopefully.
Okay.
Hopefully it'll be cool.
Stay tuned. Next week could
Monday.
be another cool spot.
Cool Monday.
It could be on Monday.
Yep.
So look out over the weekend. Cheers, as always, to Borgata for hosting us. You can earn up to 20 times slot dollar multipliers every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday through this month. Visit theborgata.com for details. And I know for some, when I'm on the road too, sometimes it's harder for me to get deep into the chat with our crew, Justin, D-Rod, the whole crew. Luke's in there today, but AJ Early always in there. We'll answer some of your questions again next week. And what's on your head?
We got a little Pirate John right here. The camo, hat. This was from my second tour of duty with the Pirates, pun intended, with the military. There was the digital camo back in 2016. It's a great hat.
It is.
It's a great hat.
I love the camo look.
If I hunted, I would wear it.
Yeah, and also, hey, John Fisher, sell the damn team. Thanks to everyone for being here at the BetMGM Sportsbook in Atlantic City. We appreciate you, and we will see you in a couple weeks again. We got multiple shows, 2 in a row, coming up in September. We will see you all then. We'll see you Monday on FT Live. Bye.